All right, so we're here in Hope Mills, North Carolina. This is where I park my truck at when I'm home, and we have a taillight issue. So you can see that one's blinking. That one is doing nothing. So we're gonna replace this light because I finally accidentally hit the stop button, but we finally got us a new light. So after bitching and complaining about having the light replaced on this truck and them just trying to put the wires back together instead of just replacing it, I finally put my foot down and went to the Freightliner dealership and bought one. And they're well, I was just going to buy it and have them reimburse me, but they did ended up getting a PO for it, so I didn't have to come up with any cash. So I stopped in at the Freightliner dealership here in Hope Mills, Velocity Freightliner. Just got to turn my lights off here. I asked the guy, a real nice guy up there, I asked him if he had the light. He says yes. After checking his computer, he said, yeah, we got it. And he went and got it. And I said, okay, well, let me call Heartland Express and see if we can get you a PO number. So I call Heartland, and I talked to some jackass, Rob or Ron or somebody in breakdown, and just a real chip on the shoulder attitude, kind of like pretty much everybody here at Heartland. There's another story coming. I'll tell you about that, about the chip on the shoulder. But I called a guy on the phone. I told him, I said, I'm here in Fayetteville. I said, my light's out. It's been out for a while. They keep trying to repair it, and they won't replace it. So I'm here at Velocity Freightliner. I'm going to buy this light, and we're going to change the light. And he starts raising hell. Well, I'm not going to pay no Freightliner dealer to change out a light. I said, no, you don't have to, sir. I said, I'm going to replace it. I said, all I need you to do is give them the PO number so that I can walk out of here with the light. It's only a $32 light. I will put it on for you. You don't have to pay them anything. Oh, all right, well, fine, whatever. So he's like, well, have that guy call me. So I go back to the guy there at the service counter. I said, okay, well, you need to call Heartland. They won't let me talk to them and give them any information over the phone. It has to be between you and them, because I'm not allowed to hear the PO numbers and all that, whatever. So I give the phone back to him. So he calls them. He calls Heartland. They get everything set up, and then the guy at Heartland asks the guy at the service counter for my Heartland Express ID. So he looks up at me. He's like, I need to see your ID. So I show him my driver's license. He's like, no, I need your Heartland Express ID. And I'm like, we don't have a Heartland Express ID. So he's like, man, I don't know. That's just what he's asking for, is for your Heartland Express ID. And then he asked to talk to me. So he gives me the phone, and I talk to him. He's like, well, why don't you have your ID? And I'm like, what ID are you talking about? This is the Heartland breakdown guy. I said, I don't have an ID. Oh, yes, you do. Everybody has one. I got mine. Mine's in my pocket. Where's your ID? You should have one. I'm like, sir, nobody has ever given me an ID. Well, I found out later, and this is the story that I will reveal later. I talked to a manager, a supervisor at Heartland. Yeah, nobody has IDs, at least not the drivers. So, but he needed to see my ID so he could verify the information that was on the ID, supposedly. So he asked me, if you don't have your ID, then I need to ask you some questions. So he basically asked me my life history and make sure I could answer everything, birth date, address, and all that. So I gave it to him. He's like, okay, fine. Probably shaking his head why I don't have my ID, even though no driver does have an ID. Real idiot. So I give the phone back to the service guy, and then they do their thing, exchanging numbers, and I kid you not, and I wish I'd had my camera on, but after the guy hung up, he looked at me. He said, that guy is a fucking idiot. No, those were his exact words, I swear to God. And all I could do was just laugh and was like, yep, I know. they're all like that in Heartland. But I'm gonna get this light replaced, and I'll reveal the other thing later on after I get done here. So let's get this light done so we can get out of here, because it's freaking hot. So I don't have my GoPro with me, it's at the house, but this is really easy. It's just this plug and then those 3 bolts down there, and that's it. That's all I got to take out. So I'm gonna try to do this with one hand here. Okay, so I wish I had my GoPro that I left sit at the house. Oh, drop that bolt. It ain't really nothing to this. 3 bolts. And then this plug here, which is a little hard to do with one hand, so I'm gonna put you down for a minute. So I just noticed that the clip that holds this in is broke off. If you look at this one, you see a little clip right there. And it's missing on this one, so maybe it'll stay in. But real simple. Line up the holes. Plug this guy in here. This ain't got no way to hold that in. And then the bolts back on, or the nuts rather. I don't know what I do with them. All right, we now have a working tail light. Woohoo! Well, you can see my pickup here is packed to the gills with all my crap that was in that truck. Well, almost all. Haven't officially got everything out. There's a refrigerator, microwave down there, but yep, everything is out of the truck except for a few necessities that I will need for the next few days. But everything is cleaned out except for bare necessities. Yes, I'm sweating like a pig here. So yeah, I finally just decided to leave Heartland. I've already called them. See, today is Monday the 11th, and my last official day will be the 18th. So I told them I would run the week out. My next job will be down in Florida. So I asked them if I could take this truck to the Jacksonville terminal and turn it in, and they said yes. So that was nice of them. So yeah, you have to forgive me. It's hotter than a monkey's ass here today in Fayetteville. I've been cleaning out this truck for the last hour, but I finally decided to leave. You know, it's not just the money. You know, we're not getting any miles here, but that's everywhere. I mean, nobody's getting any decent miles. It sucks everywhere. And it was nice that Heartland did give me the pay protection every week, which was $12.50 a week, which isn't ideal, but considering, you know, I'm running 1,500 miles a week, it did help out. So I do thank them for, you know, at least for giving me that. But, you know, the main reason I leave here is just the culture at this place. I mean, just everybody here just has a chip on their shoulder, like they're mad at the world. Like nobody wants to be here, including the drivers. I mean, just like today, trying to get that light. Something that should have been done over a month ago. But they wouldn't replace it. They just kept trying to put the wires back together. And I did that when it first went out. I was sitting here in Hope Mills where I parked my truck at, and I had soldered the wires back together. And it lasted a few days, and then it went out. And then I went to Columbus. They did the same thing. They wouldn't replace the light. They did the same thing. They just tried to, you know, piece the wires back together. And then a few weeks later, the same thing. It went out again. I went back to Columbus. They still wouldn't replace the light. They just, jerry-rigged the wires back together again. So, and you know, today's episode of dealing with that ass hat there, you know, on the breakdown, whatever you call it. I don't know if he's at headquarters or if he's just one of the, you know, shop foremans at one of the terminals. I don't know. I don't think I've ever met the guy. I don't know who he is. But, you know, when you call breakdown, you can get any number of people. It's not just one person that answers the phone. So it might be the after hours person. It might be somebody at the shop, a shop foreman or what. I don't know. I think he's a shop foreman though, but I don't know where. But I mean, just a real asshole. I mean, just a big time asshole. It's like, look, you know, the light needs to be replaced. It needs to be replaced. I have to replace it. Just get me a new light, for God's sakes. So, I mean, I was going to walk out of it. If he'd have said, no, we're not going to pay for a light, get to a terminal, I would have just paid out of pocket for the thing and bought it myself. That's what I was going to do. It was only $32. And then I would have turned the receipt in. Maybe I would have gotten reimbursed, maybe not, who knows. But, you know, at least the truck is working properly. You know, if I go down the road here and get pulled over and the cop does a DOT on me and writes me up for not having the working taillight, well, guess who gets in trouble for that? Me. I'm the one who gets rode up. And then I'm going to get a call for safety. Well, how comes you didn't get that light fixed, Mark? What, you knew it was out. Why didn't you get it fixed? Well, I tried, but nobody wanted to fix it. So I talked to a supervisor today. I forget his name, but he's my fleet manager's supervisor, and I just told him everything that I just don't like about this company, really. I mean, I wasn't being a jerk about it, but, you know, just let them know that some of the things that probably every driver doesn't like about this place. I even asked him about company IDs, because that jackass that I talked to on the breakdown line was asking me for my company ID and didn't know why I didn't have one. I'm like, sir, do we have company IDs here? He says, no, the drivers don't have IDs. I'm like, well, why is this jackass asking me for a company ID? He said, well, I don't know. Well, who was it? Who were you talking to? I'll have a chat with them. And you know, I couldn't remember his name. It was Rob or Ron or somebody, but I'm sure he could narrow it down. You know, it's a shop foreman, one of them. So he said he'd look into that, but he, I don't know, he was nice about it. You know, I was trying to be nice, but, you know, at the same time, trying to be honest. You know, it just ain't working out here. But mainly the culture here is just horrible, and I would not recommend Heartland Express to anyone. I mean, if you can deal with people's attitude problems and you're a lazy truck driver and you don't mind doing the 1,500 miles a week and getting the $12.50 minimum pay, then, you know, this would probably be a good job for you. But otherwise, if you don't want to deal with the bullshit at one of these big companies, just don't come here. It is not a good place to work. I was going to try to give it a year, and I didn't make it, 10 weeks. That's all I could do. 11 weeks. So I've rambled on enough. So it's harder to monkey's ass out here. So I'm gonna get on home and get stuff out of my car, get it in the house. So probably tomorrow we'll get us a load and probably do some short runs, and then we'll end up in Jacksonville on Monday to turn the truck in. And I can't say where I'm going because it's not official yet. And just in case something happens and they don't hire me, you know, I might have to find something else, find another company. So, but I will let you know next week what happens. So we'll see you then. Well, I'll probably see you on the road before then, but we'll see you in the next video anyway.